I'll try to do that later. Thank you.
Yeah, show me a little.
Live from New York, it's Saturday.
Welcome. I'll call the meeting to order. If everybody could please stand for the pledge and then a moment of silent reflection. All right. Thank you. Clerk, will we have roll call, please?
Here.
Here.
Present.
Here.
Here.
Present.
Present.
Has everybody had a chance to take a look at the minutes from January 18th meeting? Any questions or concerns? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. No public hearing this evening. Communications announcements, there's none. Audience concerns, we have two. First one, Raymond Anthony. If you could state your address, please.
Raymond Anthony, 5218. 14 days ago, the city council meeting. And so the last couple of days, including today, I went on the city council website, could not find a video for that last city council meeting. So my question is, who's in charge of putting that video or downloading it onto the city council website, and why does it take so long to have that done?
Okay, last meeting we had some technical difficulties. We thought it was filming, it didn't film.
So,
So the last meeting wasn't recorded.
okay. Can you tell me what the time frame is when you have a city council meeting before it's downloaded onto the actual website?
How long does that normally take, Rex?
It's instantaneous. Only thing is, instead of going to the videos part, you go to the tab that says live. It remains there until the clerk moves it from the live to the video archive section. So whenever we stream like we are tonight, streaming live, you can go home, you can watch it, go to the live section. It's still going to reside there until she's able to move it to the archive. So,
Okay, because I also went there to find last.
yeah, we looked
Yeah.
for it numerous
Yeah.
places. It
Right.
wasn't anywhere to
Unfortunately-
be
unfortunately,
found.
it
It
didn't
didn't work.
Okay,
So,
that was my
Sorry about
question. Thank you.
okay,
Thank
yeah.
you. All right, next, Anita Likens. State your name and address for the record, please.
Hello. Anita Likens, 157 East First Street. I think what I'd like to do first is read to you, would you go starting now with the Constitution. This is a momentous evening. On February the 1st, 2022, I read the Constitution in multiple times over the year to the City Council. I started on February 1st of 2022. It's been 2 years. I think it's time to do it again, especially since we've got a lot of new members and welcome all. One thing I'd like to read first is something from Thomas Jefferson. Whether peace is best preserved by giving energy to the government or information to the people, this last is the most certain and the most legitimate engine of government. Educate and inform the whole mass of the people, enable them to see it is in their interest to preserve peace and order, and they will preserve them. And it requires no very great high degree of education to convince them of this. They are the only sure reliance for the preservation of our liberty. The Constitution of the United States, when it was really originally set up, it actually was signed into acceptance on March the 4th of 1789, but it is written in the order of priority as to the Founding Fathers. The first 3 articles, there were a total of 7, the first 3 articles starts with Congress, then the executive powers of the President, and finalizes in the powers of the Supreme Court in the judicial. So we'll start with Article 1 after reading the preamble. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Article 1. All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and a House of Representatives. Section 2. The House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people of the United States and the electors in each state, and shall have the qualifications requisite for electors of the most numerous branches of the state legislatures. No person shall be a representative who shall not have attained to the age of 25 years and been 7 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state in which he shall have been chosen. Representatives in direct tax, by the way, shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union, according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons. This was to allocate, especially in the southern states, I'm taking a little thing here, at that point in time, slavery was still in effect in the southern states. And so they were trying to compromise as to how the powers of the less populated states in the South would have as much power as the more heavily populated northern states. So going forward, they shall be made within 3 years after the first meeting of the Congress of the United States, and within every subsequent term of 10 years, in such manner as they shall live by law direct. The number of representatives shall not exceed 1 for every 30,000, but each state shall have at least 1 representative, and until such enumeration shall be made, the state of New Hampshire, I'm sorry, was that a notice? Oh, okay.
Still got 2 minutes.
All righty, thank you. Until shall be made, the state of New Hampshire shall be entitled to choose 3, Massachusetts 8, Rhode Island and Providence, Plantations 1, Connecticut 5, New York 6, New Jersey 4, Pennsylvania 8, Delaware 1, Maryland 6, Virginia 10, North Carolina 5, and South Carolina 5, and Georgia 3. When vacancies happen in the representation from any state, the executive authority therein shall enter writs of election to fill such vacancies. The House of Representatives shall choose their speaker and other officers and shall have the sole power of impeachment. Section 3 of Article 1. The Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state, chosen by the legislature thereof, for 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote. Immediately after they shall be assembled in consequence of the first election, they shall be divided as equally as may be into 3 classes. The seats of the senators of the first class shall be vacated at the expiration of the 2nd year, of the 2nd class at the expiration of the 4th year, and the 3rd class at the expiration of the 6th year, so that 1/3 may be chosen every 2nd year. If vacancies happen by resignation or otherwise during the recess of the legislature, the executive thereof may make temporary appointments until the next meeting of the legislature, which shall then fill such vacancies. No person shall be a senator who shall not have attained the age of 30 years and have been 9 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state for which he shall have been chosen. The Vice President of the United States shall be President of the Senate, but shall have no vote unless they be equally divided. The Senate shall choose their other officers and also a President pro temp in the absence of the Vice President, or when he shall exercise the office of President of the United States. The Senate shall have the sole power to try all impeachments. When sitting for that purpose, they shall be on oath or affirmation. When the President of the United States is tried, the Chief Justice shall preside, and no person shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of the members present.
Did you set
Have I
a
hit it?
timer? Because I
Yeah.
did.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. I will continue as we move forward during 2024.
Okay, on to committee reports. Greg?
Members of the Finance Committee and a couple other members of council, we had an informal training session with the auditor. We learned a lot of information about the reports that are out there, how to read those, and a little bit of what we can expect to see in the future. Our actual first finance meeting of the year will be next Monday, the 5th at 5:30. We're going to hold it in the conference room. We're going to try to get that recorded, at least through a Zoom meeting, so we'll have it for records for later.
Brent, do you have anything?
No public service till February.
Rich?
I've got some notes from the BPU meeting. This is from Richard Duncan, wastewater superintendent. I have the screw press contact schedule. Equipment delivery is expected by March of 2024. Equipment installation expected to take 3 to 4 months. Anticipated startup date is June 2024. They hired an assistant operator on December 11th. Mark Fisher was hired as assistant wastewater operator. Made good progress and seems to be a valuable addition to the team. Septic revenue for December. In December, 350,635 gallons of septic and grease was received from 25 different waste haulers. Total revenue generated was $27,796.75. Sanitation department notes that I have, getting new tires for units 19 and 20 this week. I just spoke to Les before the meeting. They're here. Unit 2's engine should be installed this week. The old engine was beyond repair. New employee, Kevin Crossley, is working out very well. They're still short one guy. Need to keep running the ad. They currently have 5 employees, including including him, I'm sorry. And new trash cans will be in at the end of January. They're here. And that's all I have for public utilities. First public safety meeting of the year will be February 13th at 6 p.m. I don't know whether they're going to be in here or whether they're going to be in the conference room.
Mr. Hayes, may I ask a question? I had asked at the last meeting if you would bring it up, if they would consider lowering the rates.
I did bring it up.
Okay.
And the answer was no. There was and I don't have the notes, Carol's not gave me the notes, so I asked the board, and the answer was no.
Okay. Thank you.
Andy, do you have anything?
Yeah, the public service meeting is the 13th at 5 o'clock, most likely in the meeting room next door here.
Shannon?
If Greg didn't say it, first finance official committee meeting is this coming Monday at 5?
5:30.
5:30.
John?
Nothing.
Michael?
Nothing.
All right. I just want to add, February 13th, Law Director is going to do an informal training session for City Council to go through, the basic information, including public meetings, public records, procedural issues, and answer any questions council members might have. And again, that's at 7 on February 13th. Okay. On to city official reports. Rex, do you have anything?
Just want to reiterate, we did have an equipment issue last council meeting. Had our support person log in and check things out, found out that settings were a little screwy in the system. He kind of questioned whether somebody had been in messing with it, and I told him nobody has access to it except me, and I wasn't in there. So he suggested restarting the equipment. Once he restarted it, all the settings were back the way they were. So his guesstimate was we had either a power flux or power failure. And when the system was rebooting, probably had another flux and caused it to go into a locked up state. So resetting it took care of the issue. I sent an email to Council President that it's my intent to double check then the equipment before every council meeting, make sure that everything looks proper and it's going to work okay. And it seems to be working tonight, so. I do have several items that I'll be bringing to the committees just to let you guys know. That's it.
Mr. President,
Yes.
Mr. Castle, just because you're in the, your report section, just a curiosity while we're thinking about this. 4th Street, the old brick road beside the courthouse, appears to be closed off on both ends of the courthouse. Is that due to an issue, or is that due to the trial?
It's due to the trial.
Okay,
I could have told you that.
okay, thank you.
Okay, on to old business. Can I get a motion to read by title and number?
So moved.
Second.
Ordinance 238-23, sponsored by Henry Comer, an ordinance amending official zoning map.
All right, this is scheduled for a public hearing at our next meeting on February 15th. Does anybody have any questions about it today? All right. So we'll keep that on.
Oh, I do.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Yes, Michael?
I didn't bring my thing. So, at this time, have the person that wants to do this rezoning, have they put in any plans on, changing how it's being used, or are they just,
I believe it's just so they might be able to sell it, is that?
They're inquiring as to being able to split the lot off and selling part of the property. But it being zone manufacturing is not going to help him in selling it to somebody who might want to build a house.
Okay.
So he wants to change it to what are we changing that to?
R3.
R3, which is right there beside him.
Right.
So that he can join in the residential section, and then he can split that off, and then somebody can more easily put a house on it.
okay, I just didn't know if maybe he had plans to develop and maybe had shared the plans with us.
That's all I'm aware of, is he's wanting to possibly split the lot.
Okay, thank you.
Now on to third reading. Can I get a motion to read by title and number?
So moved.
Second.
Resolution 101-24, sponsored by Rich Hayes, a resolution authorizing the advertisement for bids for personal property no longer needed for city purposes.
This is on the 2005 Ford F-150. City no longer needs this truck, and they wish to dispose of it in accordance with the law.
Can I make a motion that we adopt it?
Second.
Clerk, roll call.
Councilman Eads,
Yes.
Councilman McDaniels,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilman Hitt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Trainer,
Approved.
Councilman Stoll,
Yes.
Councilman Norman.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, who was second?
John.
John Saul.
All right, resolution 101-24 has been approved. On to new business. Can I get a motion to read by title and number?
So moved.
Second.
Resolution 103-24, sponsored by Rich Hayes, a resolution authorizing the Board of Public Utilities to advertise for bids and enter into contract for the lease of the city farm.
The city farm is up for lease right now. And we talked about this back in December at BPU meeting. I'm going to have Les come up. Les knows a little bit more about this. So I'm going to have him come up and explain it a little bit. But the way this has to be advertised, and it has to be 5 weeks now under the new law. It has to go 5 weeks. So we're working with a little bit of a time issue. So Les, if you go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, the farm is 164 acres of tillable ground, and we lease that out to, we advertise it and lease it out to the best bid, generally for 3 years at a time. I think we're only going to go for 2 years on this bid. The sooner we get that out there, hopefully we could get more bids in and more interest.
So it has been for 3 years, the last 3 years we're under one contract?
Uh-huh.
You know how much that generates?
I don't want to guess. I've got a wild number, but I'm not for sure.
What do you think it is? Because I know.
30,000? Is it 30?
See, you're not far off, it's 44. Last year, it was about $44,000. So that's not far off.
Yeah, I didn't prepare, I didn't that number.
What, and I don't know, this is,
Per lease or per year?
That was for the year.
sorry, I didn't mean to talk over anybody.
Sorry.
So I'm curious, and I don't know that you'll answer this question, maybe Rex can or somebody up here that I'm not familiar with this. Why does this even need to come to council?
It's required by statute that you guys act on it, just like we have to advertise it for 5 weeks.
So that we have to approve that? Board of Public Utilities can't just go ahead and
No, it has to be-
bid, put that out for a bid?
Yeah.
Because if it was just put out, if this were in the same example that Councilman Norman wanted to give you permission to do, then we wouldn't have to do this part. It would just be to accept later. Is that correct?
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I'd like to make a motion to amend the resolution. I'd like to amend the following things. First, I'd like to take out, whereas the legislation must be an emergency for the renter to be able to prepare the upcoming planting season. I'd like that totally removed. I'd also like to take out of section 2 that this resolution is hereby declared an emergency necessary for the immediate first preservation of public peace and health and safety to the city. And I'd like to replace that with that this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after the earliest period allowed. I understand that you're under a deadline, but I don't see the correlation of missing a deadline for a rental agreement being an immediate, public peace, health, or safety issue.
I'll second.
Before you go very far, my question to council is either you want to rent this property or you don't. Taking that statute off of there and not passing this right away will probably push the bid process, let's see here, a month later from now would be March. 5 weeks from that, it's going to be April, close to 1st of May. You're not going to rent that plant because they're planting by then. Nobody's going to bid on our property. So if you don't want to bid it out, that's fine. You don't have to. It's unfortunate that this was brought late. It wasn't our intent. Normally, it's advertised for 2 weeks. We'd have had more leeway. We wouldn't have to do this in such a big hurry. But because we got to advertise it for 5 weeks,
Yeah, but
it's putting us behind the 8 ball. So either you want to rent it or you don't. If you don't want to rent it, just fail the legislation and we'll go on. But taking that off, I would say you're not going to rent it out for this season.
for
You're
this
gonna miss
year, but it's a 3-year lease. So we'll lose
It's a
this.
2-year lease,
They're going to go 2
Is
years
it
this
2
time.
years?
so you'll miss out this year. So, that's up to you. I like to be able to get revenue when we can, but
I would too, but I'd also like to do it the right way. And the right way is, this deadline should not have been a surprise.
okay, I'm just telling you the consequences of doing it. So it's up to council. If you don't want to rent the land, that's fine.
Well, I put the motion up, so
Yeah.
I second.
So we have a motion and a second, I guess. I should let the president say that.
So we're amending,
So basically, we're
Voting.
taking out, here, can you
Voting
pass
on
this down to
oh, you got it.
President Peters? You can have one too. I got one for her. I got one for everyone, so you can all take a look at it.
I guess he's got one for.
We're amending to take out the emergency. And then on section 2, eliminating an emergency measure. And it'll say, shall take effect and be in full force from and after the earliest period allowed by law. After it passes, is it 30 days after that?
30 days, so you're looking at March 2nd or 3rd before we can start advertising it.
Well, would it be after April?
March 2nd or 3rd, then we got to advertise it 5 weeks. So then it would be.
I didn't know, after it passes, if this goes 3 readings.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, if you don't vote on it,
So
if you
we're
go 3
looking at
readings and. yeah.
Mid-March, then
Yeah.
30 days, mid-April, and then 5 weeks, we're gonna be in June,
Yeah, that's fine.
so.
I just wanted to understand, you said it generates 44,000 a year?
Yeah,
Yep.
44 a year.
Yeah,
That we
Well,
lost?
that was the last contract,
yeah, it could,
so I'm assuming that, we could probably get more.
I think,
This-
didn't you say you've got, how many people interested?
I know of at least 2 different farmers interested in it. But if they don't have enough time to get their seed and,
And do they only farm it once a year, so it's a one crop a year
Right.
sort of deal?
yep,
They don't utilize it twice like some of the other farmers in the area?
no, generally either corn or soybeans.
Corn's generally planted before beans, right? I'm not a farmer, but corn's generally put in before beans.
I'm not a farmer either, so
it
don't
doesn't-
ask me.
Doesn't matter,
Yeah, I think they're both about the same.
about the same,
Yeah.
depending on how the ground is. Okay, so there's a motion that's been approved, so
So,
No.
well, there's a first and a second.
roll call.
But I do have I do have a comment. I understand Councilman Norman's question on this part of it, that I don't understand how it is an emergency based on public peace, health, and safety. I don't see how it qualifies at that
I would
level.
say that you need to ask those questions when you have your meeting with the law director. That is verbiage that's put in by the Ohio legislature, but that is used for numerous things that aren't relevant to those pieces. It's just to expedite legislation that doesn't really necessitate waiting 30 days to be enacted.
Right, so so if we went 3 readings, it'd take effect right after that 3rd reading with this emergency.
No. Well, yeah, with the emergency.
With this
yes,
emergency clause,
correct.
but now it won't, so.
Were there prior resolutions authorizing the BPU to advertise this property for lease?
3 years ago.
And I'm looking at the legislation, it appears as though the 5-week advertising requirement has been in effect since 2013.
I think they missed it last time, if you want to know the truth about it. It was only advertised for 2 weeks. That's what they historically had done. But they caught it, law director caught it this time, said, oh, you got to advertise. Because she's confirmed it with her,
Okay.
get that passed in, 2 weeks, we can get it out there, we can get it leased out, and people will be able to get their seeds and get it planted. And Jennifer goes, no, after reviewing it, it's got to wait, it's got to be advertised 5 weeks. So that's when everything just kind of,
Well, so do we have a proposed contract to be reviewing?
I'm assuming it's a standard contract that we've used for
Probably,
years,
same
except it says
contract.
2 years instead of 3, but
Well, I'm just reading the Ohio Revised Code, and we have to approve the contract. This is approving the BPU to enter into a contract, but that's not what the code says.
I'm not a law director, I can't answer that question.
So,
Historically, I know that anytime we say enter into contract and accept, we've never brought, that's not been the historic trend, is to bring the contracts for council to review. That I think it's the law director's job to review the contracts and put her approval or disapproval on it. But, you know, you need to ask her if it needs to come to council for you to review.
Any other questions? All right, can we get a roll call for the amendment?
Councilman Norman?
Yes.
Councilman Stahl?
No.
Councilwoman? I am so sorry. Councilwoman Trainer?
I think it's so wordy. We gotta come up with a better way of saying that. No.
Councilman Hitt?
No.
Councilman Hayes?
No.
Councilman McDaniels?
Yes.
Councilman Eads?
No.
All right. Amendment has failed, so we'll keep it as is.
Can I just
Yes,
interject?
Rex.
When I was on council, I had the same questions of those types of wordings. I would challenge council to go out and do some searches on Google as to the meanings of that clause and why it reads the way it does. You'll find, or at least I did back then, I found several articles that basically said this doesn't make any sense, why we use this verbiage. And maybe you'll get a little bit better insight on it. I did whenever I was looking, researching it.
So are council's wishes.
I'll make a motion to suspend the 3 reading rule.
Second.
Councilman Hayes?
Yes.
Councilman Hitt?
Yes.
Councilwoman Trainer?
Yes.
Councilman Stahl?
Yes.
Councilman Norman?
No.
Councilman Eads?
No.
Councilman McDaniels?
No.
So this will stay on for a second reading. Okay. On to roundtable. Greg, I'll let you start this evening.
Okay. Today is February 1st, 2024. It's a historic day that Ms. Likens came back to read the Constitution to us once again. It's actually the start of Black History Month. So I got to thinking about this, and I don't mean to forget anyone, but in my lifetime, I remember a bunch of people, I can remember a number of people that have served on city council or in other ways the city that I remember. Bussy Holloway was a city councilman for a long time. Fred Scurry was the law director. When Fred was first put in that position, what I've heard from people is he was considered to be a brilliant man and made a lot of changes to our codified ordinances at that time. Betty Scott served relatively recently, may have served with you, Mr. Castle, at some point. She was a true champion of her ward, and I really appreciated the fact that she stood up for her ward. Brenda Russell was our most recent person on council. She was the chairman of finance. She served 2 or 3 terms. I don't recall exactly. I didn't look that up. Marilyn Hall, who's actually her sister, is on the Parks and Rec Committee, at least according to the city website, is still on the Parks and Recs Committee. She's a true champion for that also. Vicki Victor was the chairperson of the Civil Service Commission for many years. And then there's a few people that I remember, and probably nobody, I'm looking at the faces on council, John Stahl is going to remember both of these people, I think. One was Cecil Herman, worked for the street department for so many years. But the other gentleman that we've talked about, that I still remember from when I was a child, and I don't know that Josh will remember him, his name was George. Was it George Jenkins? It was George. George was a gentleman who lost his arm. And he worked for, I believe, the street department. And he went around with a broom and with a scoop shovel.
I remember.
And you remember him? And he would work up and down the street on South Main Street, and he would sweep it into a pile and then get the shovel and hold that up against his belly. And he would do that, and had a wheelbarrow that he could handle with one arm. And I just remember him and all of these folks that have served London. And I'm sure there's many I not remember, but I just wanted to bring that up for that part. Second part of this, today I received an electronic notification of a BPU bill. Was that a correct mailing that we know of?
Yes.
Because I don't think I've ever seen one before.
The water bill?
Yes, that came electronically.
Oh, I get them all the time.
But I don't think
The
I
bill
ever.
itself?
I
I
don't
think it's because it has the announcement of the switchover on it. I think she wanted it to go to everybody. So, yeah, I see what you're saying. I have to log into my account to see it. I get a total, what I owe, but not the bill.
Right, and I don't think I've ever signed up for that, so I just want to make sure, because on the address, it's got like the render blob, which is like something that always puts my ears up, like I don't know that this is a valid thing. And then along those lines, we didn't get an update, and maybe there is on that document. Do we have an update on the transition to Mid-Ohio at this point?
The employees was given notice that they will be moving to Mid-Ohio March 10th.
All of the employees?
All of the water, sewer, and the water office employees.
Okay.
So they'll take leadership of the employees at that time. The following water bill will be generated, well, it'll still be generated with our software and everything, but they're switching it over to read Mid-Ohio. So that stuff will transition next month.
So is everything going to be transitioned by then?
Not everything, just the employees and the billing is next month. And they've got schedules for other items to transpire as we go out throughout the rest of the year.
Seems a little premature to have a bill before we've given them, everything's transpired, everything's transitioned over.
That was what they did in Plain City, I believe, so they're just mimicking what they did with those. It seemed to be a smooth transition, so.
Can I ask a question? So basically, this is a done deal. Mid-Ohio is done, and we're going full tilt.
No, we're done. Mid-Ohio is going to take over.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's, because I had heard at one point that we had to have a judge sign off on it. Has that been done yet?
No, that'll be done later on down the line. That'll be, once that's fully finalized, you'll get your final transition of assets and so forth. And then our boards will be set at that time. I think the reason the judges have to mainly sign off is they got to change their bylaws to read that they have more board members and things like that. But, yeah.
So when you say we're moving the employees March 10th, is that all the employees that are listed in the document that's out there?
Yes, it's all water, sewer, and office employees, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, John.
John has a question.
Yeah. Will refuse be on the same bill, or is that separate, or how's that going to be?
The sanitation and your stormwater will still be on that bill. We're still undecided whether or not we'll separate it out and have a separate bill. If we mimic what Plain City did, they let Mid-Ohio bill water and sewer only, and then they build their sanitation separately. And that's probably what we will that's probably the way we'll do it. And to save on cost, because to take on that one billing, it's your cost of mailing and all that stuff's still the same, and it's very expensive. We may have to change the time frame in which bills are done. Let Lane City change theirs.
Thank you.
Greg?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Brent, do you have anything?
Yes, I think it's kind of absurd that we're in such a hurry to rent off some farmland and get bids for that, but we never got any bids to give away $60 million worth of our assets in the water department. I mean, come on. No bids at all for that. There you go.
Anything else?
Not at the moment.
Rich?
Can you get my hand on that?
I want to thank all city employees for jobs well done. Had something else and just escaped me real quick, but just ask the Lord's blessing upon our city. Ask He continue to watch over us and keep us all safe and well.
Andy?
The public service meeting is February 13th at 5 o'clock in the meeting room next door. That's it.
All right. Shannon?
Finance committee's on Monday at 5:30.
All right. John?
I have nothing.
Michael?
So I guess we're two bookends, because I was also going to mention that today is the first day of the Black History Month. It started out as a week of recognition in 1926, and in 1976 it became a month-long celebration, and every year there's a theme that they have. And this year's theme is the African Americans and the arts. So over the next couple of weeks, I'm sure there's going to be activities, hopefully in our community, at least at our library for sure, and on TV, and I hope we all take an opportunity to explore and recognize and enjoy those contributions that have been made. March 19th, 2024 is approaching pretty fast. For the nation, it's the presidential primary. For London, it's also the presidential primary, but it's also another opportunity to ensure our fire and EMS department is fully funded. So I'm going to encourage everybody not to forget that this issue is on the ballot, and whether you're for it or against it, I'd like to see some people come out and place your vote. We already talked about the Public Service Committee meeting. It's going to be on February 13th at 5. I got one final issue I'd like to see if we can at least get some information about, and that is the space here in City Hall that should be designated to City Council. I know Councilman Eads brought it up about 2.5 months ago, and unfortunately our mayor's not here, but the administration said that it was something that could be looked into. So I guess my question is, 2.5 months later, what exactly does look into mean, and has it been looked into? Because I myself have had a couple of meetings with members of our community and at least one outside business, and I had to kind of scramble to find a place to have the meeting. Going to a coffee shop's okay, but it'd be nice to actually bring them into our building and have a place where we can meet with people, and we don't have the public being able to listen in or whatnot. I also feel we need that space, more so for our council clerk. I watch her come in to these meetings, and she's basically got to unpack this. And I feel at least our clerk, if none of the rest of us have a workspace, I feel our council clerk needs a designated, secured area that she has a workplace. She has a printer so she doesn't have to share it. And that if she doesn't want to take everything home, she can leave it on her desk, lock the door, leave, and not worry about somebody being able to access it. So my question is, can we set some sort of timeline to have this done? And, who do we need to talk to get it done? Who needs to do it? Does it need to be council members? Because if it does, I'm willing to, put in whatever time's needed to, if I have to come out and move furniture from one room to another, it's not beneath me to do that. And then finally, I'd just like to invite those that are out there watching to actually come to the meetings, and I appreciate you that did come this evening. Mr. Raymond, I appreciate you here. And I just, again, I want to thank those who voted for me and are allowing me to serve.
About the office space, I would imagine if you have time to meet between, what time are you here, 8 to 4? I'm sure you can meet here in the conference room if there's not a meeting already going on, or imagine they could designate a spot for you.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
To accommodate,
I don't think
and
we
it's-
should, I think we should be acting as two separate entities, administration and council. I think council needs to have a designated spot in this building. That is our spot.
But,
This used to be the council chambers, but somewhere along the way, we changed the name to Public Auditorium and Theater. So we really, if you look at us from the outside, there is no council anything other than,
It's no different than it has been historically. When we had the old building, it was council chambers, but it was utilized for other things, just like this auditorium is used and utilized for. We've tossed around a few things. Right now, unless we do construction, there's really no open spaces available. The upstairs is not conducive to have any offices, even though there's rooms up there. It's not handicap accessible, and I wouldn't recommend taking people up there to meet. It's good for storage, but other than that, it's not good for anything else. With Mid-Ohio taking over, their plans is to probably build their own building somewhere, have offices somewhere other than here. So that would open up some potential spaces, and that's where we're at right now.
So there's a possibility then.
so then we'll have the space where they're,
Currently, they occupy
BP.
two spaces. They occupy that room there, and then they have an office right over here, kind of straight across.
Is
There's
that
a-
the old, where the old Parks and Rec
Where
office?
Parks and Rec used to be, yeah. But they historically have been utilizing that for meeting for field staff when they come in, so that they don't disrupt the office. But once that's, completed, there'll be two places that'll be available.
so that'll be like March 10th, right?
No, they're still going to utilize this. They're not as fast as you thought. They can't build an office building that quick, but,
Well, I just,
yeah.
I don't mean to be argumentative, but I guess I am being, BPU, they're now Mid-Ohio. And I think the priority should be administration, council, and then everything else. I don't think the BPU should take priority over council. So if that room over here that they use for their field, whatever,
We can check into that if,
I think if
I
we.
don't think that they'll be, I don't want to speak for them. I don't know that they'll be functioning in the same fashion that we did where they come in and have meetings. I don't know that for sure, and I'm kind of thinking maybe not. So, yeah, once they get things taken over, that room could be available.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I just want to thank everybody that came out, Raymond and Anita. Next council meeting, February 15th. So is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Need a second.
Hold it.
Privilege vote. You can say, you can do that in the middle of the meeting.